Hi guys, welcome. This week we're going to actually have a logline sent to me by Vincent. Thank you, Vincent. It was really good. He nicked over to Griffiths Creative and filled out the form there and left us this logline. It's actually a really good logline. I'll start with that. I'll start with the logline. It's a romantic comedy. It's called Stand Tall. It's a spin-off of the Giant Woman movie. I don't know if you know the 50-Foot Woman. It's a bit of a classic. The poster becomes a major talking point in Mad About You, the TV show. But here is the logline. It's actually a very, very good logline. A sunny, abused Vegas casino waitress aspiring to be a showgirl is accidentally triple-sized, becomes a showroom icon, romances a scientist whose mishap made her giant, then vows to rescue him when he is kidnapped by three mutual rivals. 41 words. Feels a bit verbose. I don't know if it feels a bit verbose. I think it's actually quite good. What could we condense there? The abused Vegas casino waitress. Does abused help us in this story? It'll help us in the screenplay. It might not help us here. And sunny, abused, is a bit of a contradiction. So why don't we start with a sunny Vegas casino waitress, an aspiring showgirl, rather than aspiring to be. So an aspiring showgirl. So that shortens up a few words and makes it a bit more punchy. So a sunny Vegas casino waitress and aspiring showgirl is accidentally triple-sized and, rather than a comma, because now we can put an and in there and pull it together, and becomes a showroom icon. She romances a scientist whose mishap made her a giant. Then, after he's kidnapped, she sets out to save him. The three mutual rivals maybe isn't needed because he's kidnapped. We'll find out who did it in the story. I'll email this back to you, but see how this is a tight logline. And even at 41 words, it's not that long. There is another episode I've done about loglines and the things that are logline fails, and I'll put that on the end. Things like, and must overcome her mysterious past, or must battle nefarious blah, blah, blah. Those words that are verbose, but actually are a little bit meaningless, and everyone has a shady past or dealing with a tragic whatever. This is the story. You can see this. There is a waitress in a casino. She wants to be one of those girls up on stage. She wants to be a showgirl. Something goes wrong. Suddenly she becomes a giant. She gets the fame she wants. She becomes an icon. And she begins to fall in love with the guy whose mistake made her a giant. And then something happens to him. So now she's going to use her giant size, maybe her fame, her power, to go rescue him. This is a good romantic comedy. And it's a straight line through the story. Well done, Vincent. Very, very well done. And thank you for sending it in. What a lot of people will say, these are things that you can kill your career or roadblocks to your career. Not Vincent's. Vincent's logline is really good. But things that can be a bit of a block to your getting ahead. The need that this is an internal thing you've got to come to grips with yourself. It is not the form of your story that isn't getting it to sell. There is a little bit of a push again. I saw it a few years ago when Marvel started, and everyone's going, oh, they want comic books. They want movies that have come from comic books. So I'm going to do the round trip. I'm going to get my screenplay, convert it into a graphic novel. That will sell because everybody wants graphic novels at the moment. And then when they buy the graphic novel, I've already written a screenplay, or I'll use the graphic novel and the interest in my graphic novel to sell my screenplay. It's not the form that your story is in. It's not that it's written on a certain size of paper. It's not that everyone wants graphic novels. The reason people wanted graphic novels was because they had a built-in story, had a built-in audience. The X-Men are the longest running single narrative in the English language, in the history of the English language. One continuous story being told on a regular basis, the longest one, longer than any biblical stories, longer than any myths, longer than any of those, is X-Men. Think about that. So if you're going to make a movie from a franchise, you may go to some place that already has 3,000 episodes that you can drag storylines from. You may go to a corporation that already has a massive following in its with its canon, 1,500 or 15,000, I forget what it is, characters in the Marvel universe. So you've got this massive thing, and then they put Iron Man out. Think about it, before Iron Man, superhero movies were a bit, they're all right, they made money, don't get me wrong, they made money, but The Dark Knight was the one that everyone went, oh, okay, yeah, these are adult films, these aren't Christopher Reeves with the Brill Cream little thing on his forehead, they're not brightly lit, not everyone has sharply polished suits. The places are dirty. There's garbage strikes. They're filmed a little bit dark, nice anamorphic. Not made for TV. They compressed background, all that sort of really good stuff. So they changed. Now everyone saw that, and they looked at the symptom, not the cause. They said, oh, it's a comic book. Therefore, everybody wants comic books. I'm going to have to get my movie and convert it to a comic book. That is not going to do you any good. You're better off looking at your movie and thinking why it's maybe not performing the way you want it to perform. Go to readthrough.com and listen to it. See how is it traveling as a story. You love your story. You've got to manage to detach yourself. The other thing that's a bit of a roadblock to your career is there's this thing when you have an argument or you discuss logic with people. It's called poisoning the well. That's when you start phrasing your question or using terms around the argument you want to have to make it impossible for anyone to agree with you. They can't go to the well logically. It's like when you start putting like too many in front of something. Why in TV now are there too many tropes? Why does Hollywood write such crap films? Why do people do this so poorly? Is it bad to have too many transitions in a story? Why does Hollywood, if you've got too many transitions, why won't directors buy your film? If you've got too many the word too many and poorly and badly, and you use those, and you're using those to lie to yourself because you're not going to get an honest answer. TV doesn't have too many tropes. It has as many as it needs. Some shows on TV are better than other shows on TV. There's some poorly made TV shows, things that are made very quickly to fill a hole because there's all things like that. There's the little novels that you'll buy when you go to an airport and you'll never, ever read that writer again. And then there is like my leather-bound copy of Edgar Allan Poe downstairs. Not that I've read it. I think I may have flicked through a few pages, but I bought it because it was something to have. Edgar Allan Poe is a dark soul. He's a classic, and he was a lovely-looking leather-bound edition of a book. That's a little bit of a keepsake, a little bit of a collector's. That's important. The guy that wrote the pulpy novel at the airport isn't important. And TV shows are the same. Some will be great, some will be bad. Some movies will be terrible, some movies will be great. No one sets out to make a bad movie. But you can't point and say, oh, there's all these bad things. As soon as you start saying there's too many of these, or why does Hollywood do this? Hollywood isn't making quality films anymore. Therefore, I cannot be made. TV isn't making things for people to think anymore. Therefore, my complex stories will never be made. Stop making excuses for yourself. These are industries. These industries want to make money. You're writing something which they cannot convert into something to make them money. They're not sitting back, rolling around in their coins like Scrooge McDuck going, let's keep making garbage and keeping these really good authors out and keeping these great stories off the television because... Why? What? The Last of Us, Game of Thrones, which was costing millions of dollars per episode. There's so much great TV. Even The Wire. Apparently The Wire didn't have a big following, but they were making great TV. Great TV gets made. The Breaking Bad, the Better Call Sauls. Even they had to, the crowd, the great TV had driven the people so much that they made a small movie just to resolve Jesse's story out of Breaking Bad. It wasn't enough that he escaped and got away. People wanted to see the end of how his life ended up and what happened to him. All these things are because there is quality stuff. You can't look at a few bad things and go, that's what's keeping me out. That is poisoning your own brain. It's stopping you from engaging with yourself and engaging in the industry and trying to get better, because you're convincing yourself that you're not going to get where you want to be because the whole industry can't possibly make something which is the quality of your work. Stop poisoning the well. That way, when you go to forums, you have conversations with people, you're not going to be going out of your way to win a conversation by saying there's too many of these and it's overboiled and they keep going back to the same terrible tropes, because this means you're not going to engage in conversation. You won't learn anything from people. God, I've been ranting my head off just now. But that's the thing. If you engage in sensible, well-thought conversation, it will expand your mind. You'll begin to see things in a different way. You will become a better writer. And guess who gets hired? Better writers. Guess who sells spec scripts? Better writers. A quick little side note, this is a prediction. Craig's prediction into the future. Everyone keeps talking about the impending WA strike. I don't know many details about it because I don't work with WGA signatories and I'm not a member of the WGA, so it's a bit like talking about NASA's program to go back to the moon. Doesn't affect me. A little bit of interest. But people are saying that these WA companies, WGA signatory companies, are beginning to set up productions overseas. This is my prediction, that if they start finding success engaging with non-WGA countries and non-WGA production companies, and they can get quality work done overseas, because even me down in Sydney, Australia, I can get to London or America in just 20 hours. So I'm 1 day away. So if they start moving out, Marvel's moved to Sydney. There you go. If they start moving out and start using non-WGA stuff, this could be a seismic shift. And some of the big Hollywood money, because Hollywood's not the only game in town, but it's a big game, will start coming into the non-WGA areas. And if it's successful, they will keep competing what makes them successful, which is one thing I always say. People will continue to do what makes them successful. Until next time, guys, if you do the things, it's been fantastic. If you find there's value, I've noticed that more than half the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. It'll really help the algorithm. For some reason, they like people to subscribe. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you. Again, if you could do those things, it's really, really appreciated. Until next time, guys, keep writing. Bye.